you're selling more than a home. You are selling what has become a headache for you. And sometimes you might even consider leaving a bottle of aspirin for the buyers because you know what you're leaving behind on a house when you're selling it. You want to make sure that you're realizing that the sticks and bricks and dirt that your house sits on, it's going to affect somebody else's lifestyle. Will affect somebody's lifestyle. The buyers who are coming looking at your house and fantasizing what it's going to be like to live there, they're also counting their nickels. The majority of home buyers currently in the market are first-time home buyers. The ones that would normally be in the market with, selling their house first are the ones that bought during COVID, bought during the pandemic, and they've got those 2 and 3% interest rates. They're not coming to buy your house. It's the first-time home buyers. This is the first-time home buyer market. These are a lot more picky buyers because everything makes them scared. They become skittish. So you want to make sure that you are not robbing yourself of equity by not working on the things that helps you make the most money. If you're going to sell it to an investor, that's a different conversation for a different day. But if you're selling to a homeowner, you sell it to someone that's going to live there, you be best to get yourself a pre-list appraisal and a pre-list home inspection as a seller. Yes, it costs money. You want to do it. Why? Because you'll understand truly what you're selling, and you don't want any gotchas or surprises when you get under contract and your buyer has their appraisal and has their inspection, and then we have a challenge on the value, and we have a challenge on the condition of the property that you yourself knew about and didn't disclose, or you may have not known, which is going to affect what you'll have to negotiate or what your agent negotiates on your behalf of what you walk away from the table. Your condition robs your equity. Pre-list inspections, pre-list appraisals on the appraisal, it is going to give you a baseline it gives you a chance as a homeowner to substantiate what you're asking for your home. So especially if you want to push that price up in the neighborhood, because everyone always feels that their home is more valuable than the next home because it's valuable to them. So therefore, someone else is going to see the same value, even though you might be in a slowing market. I just know someone's going to come and see my house and fall in love with it. Yes, that is with the work of your agent selling the lifestyle of the house. But when they get to the house, the condition of the house is what gets them to close on the house. So things that you can do as a seller that's going to keep you from blowing your deal are usually the most simple. Like if the house has a big hole in the roof, if the foundation's got cracks all over the place, those are going to be obvious issues. Those are going to be your investor market. But our first-time home buyer market, they notice the little things. People think they're not going to notice. But they notice everything. Buyers are not dumb. They're skittish. So they're paying attention and looking at reasons why they shouldn't buy your house. And some of the smallest ones I've seen where people notate is like lighting, for instance, when the bulbs aren't all the same color. Like you have, that blue casting light and you have like a yellow casting light. Buyers notice that. It may not stop them from buying a house, but they're looking at what you've overlooked. Then they go to one of the bathrooms in the house and they just notice that there's a little wet ring around the toilet, not like from urination, but from like a leak, or the toilet runs, or the smoke detector keeps beeping every 2 minutes. They notice that stuff. They notice the little creepy crawly bugs in your house. They notice spider webs. They notice everything. And it lays in their mind of things that you're overlooking that are visible. What are the things that you haven't paid attention to while you lived there or owned it that could need work? Because they don't want to be stuck with needing an HVAC system, needing a new roof, a new water heater, updating the electrical, updating the plumbing, having to get new appliances, having to get new flooring and paint and light fixtures and fix the broken fence and still pay a premium price over and beyond what anybody else has sold their house in the neighborhood. They're not going to do it. We're not going to fool anyone. Now, we can bring them in and give them all the rosy marketing, show them the lifestyle of living in the town, living in the neighborhood that has the pool and the tennis courts and the tot lots and all that great stuff. We can share that. We can sell that. But that house has to match what they're anticipating or what they're expecting to see. We don't want to we're already like dealing with the sticks and bricks. I say that all the time. We're dealing with sticks and bricks. They may come in as a green color. They know they can paint that. First time home buyers typically understand, they want to paint it, make it their own. They may want to update their appliances. They may want to change their landscaping over time. But like I said, they're not going to want to do all the heavy stuff. They usually can't afford it. And a lot of the heavy stuff can be avoided if the maintenance has been there. Simple things like, okay, I'll give you a few examples. When you go into a house and you go under contract and they love it and they have the home inspection. If that home inspector opens the HVAC system and they see rust in there, they see a dirty filter, and they just see the system hasn't been taken care of, even if the system's like, say, 5 years old, if they see it hasn't been taken care of, they're going to strike it on the inspection. They're going to tell that buyer, oh, you need to have an HVAC system inspected and serviced, right? And then we know that can be a bill depending on how much work it needs. Another is when they're just the little things like the water heater doesn't have the right temperature, and then you go and look at the heater and say it might be turned up high, but the temperature is only like, say, 100 degrees instead of like 140, then they know something's going on with that heating element. Like they start looking at this stuff and they start tacking on how much this stuff costs. And it might be that a water heater, say a brand new water heater installed might be $1,500, but to a buyer, that's like, it's $5,000. It's like everyone always ramps up the cost of things in their mind because they're the ones that are stuck with paying for when you leave your headache behind, right? And I hate to be so harsh in saying you're selling a headache, but you are. It's like selling a used car, unless you're buying new construction. But you're selling a used home, and there's going to be stuff with it. The buyers know it's going to be stuff with it, but they don't want to take on too much. They're first time home buyers. They don't know how to handle all that. They really don't. And when we're in houses, you as an agent, you try to tell them, hey, the sellers can work on this, or we can work on that. We can do some credits. We can do this. We can do that. We're selling. We're working, right? We're doing our job as agents, trying to minimize the issues because we know we can negotiate them. But some things are just not negotiable. Sometimes you go in and some of these houses I've seen, you're just thinking like, why the hell would they leave this here? Like there's, in this day and age, in this political environment, they'll leave all like their political stuff on the walls, where they went to school, their frat or sorority. They put all these things that you don't know who's walking through your door. You don't know who's going to buy it. Take all your personal stuff out. Don't be restrictive on your showings. I only want to show from 2 to 4. We're human beings. We have schedules, kids, jobs, things like that. They can't only see the property at specific times when they're available, right? They're going to, make appointments when the seller has it available, but the buyer has to be available. That's the customer, right? So, we have flexibility, but that's the customer. And we try to make things available. At the end of the day, what they're buying is peace of mind. So talk to your agent or talk to 3. Figure out what you need to do to stand out. Don't automatically think as a homeowner that since you've got your service records and everything, that you don't need to do anything because your house looks good to you. But talk to somebody who is seasoned and licensed and knows what they're doing to tell you, to be truthful with you, to where if what the agent says even stings just a little bit, they're probably telling you the truth. Don't hire the agent that's super flowery and nice and super complimentary, but they don't tell you anything about your house. Everything is perfect. There is no such thing as everything is perfect. Even in new construction, there's things about the house that, the closets are too big, or the kitchen's too small, or the backyard's too flat, or it's too much of a hill. There's always going to be something of a house that's not perfect. So, but listen to those that you hire, pay them well so they can do a really good job for you and save you a ton of money, headache, and time. That's all I got for you guys today. See you later. Peace.